Hello everyone. Thanks for your interest and overwhelming response to this webinar. Let us wait for a minute or two for others to join. Welcome to the webinar on demystifying user research. I'm Deepa, Senior Systems Engineer Human Factors at Decos, and I will be your host for this webinar today. Let us explore essential concepts and methods to help you understand the foundational principles of user-centered design. Let's get started. So today's agenda is user research, key concepts, types, common methods, key dimensions in choosing the right user research method, planning the user research, analyzing and synthesizing data, challenges, and considerations. So before we go further into the webinar, let us understand what user research is. So user research is the process of understanding the user needs, behaviors, and attitudes of users to inform the design and development of products or services. It is a critical component of creating successful products and services. So basically, it involves systematically gathering insights about users, their behaviors, needs, and preferences to inform design decisions. So, by understanding users' perspectives early on, we can actually create products that are intuitive, usable, and also meet user expectations, ultimately leading to higher user satisfaction and product success. So, before we go into the next topic, I would like to take a poll. So, here is your question. Are you aware of the user research process? I repeat, are you aware of the user research process? Let us wait for a few seconds. Okay, so I see that most of the participants are aware of the research process. So let us understand the key concepts and methods in user research process in the rest of the webinar. So let us now delve into some key concepts of user research, which are user-centered design, empathy, and user empathy maps, and iterative design process. So basically, user-centered design, it is also abbreviated as UCD. It is all about placing users at the heart of the design process. So by actively involving them throughout the research, interviews, and usability testing, designers can gain valuable insights into their needs and preferences. So, this iterative approach not only enhances functionality but also ensures that the final product is engaging and intuitive. So, continuous feedback loops help refine the design, leading to a better user experience overall. The next key concept in user research is empathy and user empathy maps. So, empathy in design means deeply understanding users, their emotions, goals, and challenges to create solutions that actually meet their needs. User empathy maps capture key insights about users' thoughts, feelings, actions, and perceptions, offering a comprehensive view of their experiences. So, this visualization helps the designers identify pain points, their motivations, and thereby ensuring that their solutions are genuinely user centric. So by grounding designs by grounding decisions in real user perspectives, empathy maps can guide the creation of products that resonate with users on a deeper level. Coming to iterative design process, so this process is a dynamic cycle of prototyping, testing, and refining. So this approach allows the designers to quickly validate their ideas and also address any usability challenges based on real user feedback. So each iteration builds upon the last, like fostering continuous improvement and then adaptability. So by regularly involving users early on in the testing phases, designers can make more informed adjustments to their designs, ensuring that the product evolves in line with user needs and expectations. So, this basically leads to a final product that not only functions well but also delivers a positive user experience, moreover, a user satisfaction. So, understanding users and their needs is very fundamental in making informed decisions and also in crafting effective solutions. So, to gain this understanding, we can employ various types of user research. Broadly speaking, research can be categorized into four fundamental types: primary, secondary, qualitative, and quantitative, as you can see in this chart. So, these categories are based on two key factors: one who conducts the research, and the other one is the type of data that is being collected. So coming to primary research, so primary research is more on collecting new original data directly from the users or the participants. So it basically provides first hand insights into their user needs and also their behaviors. So here the key methods can be interviews, surveys, and observations. Moving on to secondary research, so this research type, it analyzes already existing data, so data that is gathered by others. So it helps us to build a knowledge base by reviewing studies, analyzing reports, and consulting previously published data. So this is about primary and secondary research. Now let's move on to qualitative and quantitative. So qualitative research, it basically focuses on understanding attitudes, experiences, and motivations through non-numerical methods. So it explores the why, like why behind user behaviors. So the methods can include in-depth interviews, observations, and focus groups. Moving on to quantitative research. So this type of research, it actually measures and analyzes the numerical data to identify trends and patterns. So it basically answers how many, how much, how often questions using surveys, analytics, and experiments. These are like quantitative user research methods. So by effectively leveraging these types of research, we can actually develop a comprehensive understanding of what exactly the user needs and make more informed decision to our designs. So primary and secondary research provide us the raw data that we are looking for, while quantitative and qualitative research offer different perspectives, like to analyze and interpret the data that we have gathered earlier. So together, these approaches enable us to create solutions that are both effective and also aligning with user expectations. So, the field of user experience offers a diverse array of research methods, from established techniques like lab based usability testing to the newer approaches such as unmoderated UX assessments. So, although it's impractical to utilize every method for a single project, combining multiple methods would often yield more comprehensive insights. So, however, many design teams rely on quite a few familiar methods. Like some of those familiar methods are user interviews, so it can be a structured interview or a semi structured interview. And then surveys, it can be quantitative, it is a quantitative data collection method. And also observational studies, so this is often also called as contextual inquiry. And the next common method is usability testing, like evaluating prototypes. And card sorting, field studies or ethnographic research, eye tracking, heat maps, or click tracking. So here you can find a chart that is illustrating the landscape of user research methods, which are mapped against three key dimensions and their progression throughout a typical product development process. So the methods positioned in the center. So the methods which are positioned in the center, center of the quantitative and qualitative axis, they can actually capture both qualitative and quantitative data. So we will explore these key dimensions in more detail in the upcoming slides. So we have seen a lot of methods like user research methods. Let me just brief you out about each method here. So coming to user interviews. So these are interviews which are conducted with users to gather qualitative insights and feedback in a guided manner. Uh, Guided manner in the sense like this is a structured way, or it can be with some flexibility. That interviews we call it as semi-structured interviews, and it is used for understanding user needs, their preferences, behaviors, and attitudes toward products or services. So coming to survey. So in surveys, like there are questionnaires that are being distributed to a large sample of users to collect quantitative data on opinions, their preferences, or behaviors. So it is basically used for gathering numerical data on user demographics, their satisfaction levels, or usage patterns, etc. So coming to observational studies. So here researchers observe the users in their natural environment. So natural environment, but often without any direct engagement or interaction with the user, to understand their behavior, interactions, and challenges as they interact with the product or services in real world context. So it is also known as contextual inquiries, which is basically used for identifying user behaviors, their pain points, and usage patterns within a specific context. That's why it's called as contextual inquiry. Moving on to next method, which is usability testing. So here users will be interacting with prototypes or interfaces under controlled conditions to evaluate ease of use, functionality, and moreover the user satisfaction. So it is used for identifying usability issues, validating the design decisions, and also improving the user experience. So the next method here is card sorting. So here users categorize the information or content into groups or containers based on their understanding and preferences. So it is used for organizing information architecture, improving navigation, and also enhancing content findability within an user interface. So moving on to the next method, field studies. Field studies are also called as ethnographic research. This is more or less similar to observational studies or contextual inquiries that we have seen earlier. But here, researchers will be observing and interacting with users in their natural settings, like we have seen for observation study. But here, they would be more like understanding the cultural, social, and environmental behavior, and there'll be some interaction as well. So unlike observation studies, so here the main motto is to like gain deeper insights into user context, their culture, and real life interaction with the products. So these field studies encompass a broader approach. So broader approach in the sense they may include observations as well, but it also involves collecting qualitative data through interviews, surveys, and other methods in real world settings or in natural environment. Coming to eye tracking. So eye tracking refers to the technology and methods like which are used to monitor where and how long users look at a specific point on a screen, like or in a physical environment or a user interface. So it is basically used for analyzing visual attention patterns, optimizing interface design, and also understanding the user focus. Moving on to heat map and click tracking. So heat map also like involves eye tracking. Like heat maps gain the inputs from the eye tracking data, but it is like different than eye tracking. So here in heat maps, like they are actually visual representation in the sense they'll showcase like the area of high and low user interaction on any web page or interface, so based on eye tracking data only. So, but whereas click tracking records where exactly users click or tap the most. So this will help identify the popular content areas, and thereby we can optimize the layout and navigation. So and also improve or encourage the user engagement. So together these tools provide valuable insights for enhancing user experience and also for the design effectiveness. Each research method we discussed earlier, it can be adapted for either remote studies or in-person studies. So depending on our project needs and constraints. understanding which methods are suited to each setting. So this will allow us to optimize our research better, approach, and also to gather the most relevant and actionable insights for our user experience projects. For example, moderated testing, unmoderated testing, diary studies, concept testing, and analytics. So these can all be done in remote settings. When it comes to in-person studies like usability, lab-based usability testing, so there are also some remote studies. So that is like moderated or unmoderated that we have seen earlier. But this usability study that we are looking here is lab-based. So it can be done in person. And there are other studies like field studies, contextual inquiries, or observational studies, participatory design, focus group, eye tracking. So these are all can be done in person. Whereas there are certain methods like surveys and interviews which can be conducted both in person and also remotely. So, on the previous slide, we examined various research methods that can be employed in gathering user insights. However, the crucial challenge is selecting the most appropriate method for each project stage. So, to effectively address the research goals and enhance the user experience. So, let us explore three critical dimensions to guide this selection. One is attitudinal versus behavioral, qualitative versus quantitative, and context of use. So, as you can see here, attitudinal versus behavior. So let's start with the attitudinal dimension. So this dimension actually contrasts with what people say with what people do. Like this attitudinal is somewhat contrasting to the behavioral. So attitudinal research basically focuses on what people say or what people believe. So this includes methods like surveys, focus groups, which actually reveal users beliefs and attitudes like about a product, and it helps understand perceptions, but sometimes it can be biased and also inaccurate. Whereas behavioral research, so it focuses on what people do. So the methods could include usability testing and A/B testing, so which observe actual user interactions. And this approach provides practical insights, so without any biases, and into the user behavior, and also in identifying the real world problems. So this is about attitudinal versus behavioral dimension. Moving on to qualitative versus quantitative dimension. So qualitative research basically explores the why, like why behind the user behavior, like through interviews, field studies, or ethnographic research. It also provides deep contextual insights into their motivations and experience, like why they're doing this, why they're clicking this instead of that. So that is all based on qualitative research. Coming to quantitative research, it will answer how many or how much through numerical data and statistical analysis like surveys with some closed ended questions, analytics, A and B testing. So it measures the extent and impact of users behaviors, so that is why it is called as quantitative behavior research. Moving on to context of use. So this coming to this dimension, like which explores how and where user research methods are applied. So this dimension helps us understand the different settings, like different settings in which we can study the user interactions, like natural use, scripted use, limited use, or no use at all, in the sense decontextualized. So there are four context of use. Let us see them in detail. So, natural use. So, in this method, we will be observing the users in their everyday environment to capture realistic, like authentic and real world interactions. So, by conducting ethnographic studies and in field observations, we gain insights into how users interact with the product in their typical daily routines. So this is about natural use. And coming to scripted use, like here users are guided through, they're guided through specific tasks to assess particular features or aspect of the product. So this approach is useful for structured evaluations such as benchmarking performances or conducting usability tests, where the focus is on a specific functionality of a product or a particular user experience. So this is about scripted use. And moving on to limited use, so this basically involves focusing on a subset of product, in the sense like to assess particular feature or particular interactions. So for example, card sorting. So card sorting will help us understand the information architecture or the container, like where we can put what. So while concept testing evaluates new ideas. So this is all about limited use, and this method allows us to dive deeply into specific areas, like particular areas, without analyzing the entire product. And the fourth one is decontextualized use, like not using the product at all. So how how means like this approach studies broader issues not directly tied to the product use, like brand perception or user attitudes, like observing the user attitudes. So methods like surveys or focus groups are used here. These will provide valuable insights into users' perception and also their user experience, like without requiring any direct interaction with the product. So, how do you feel about this product? So, that like such sort of survey questions, like without having them interacting with the real product. So, basically, each dimension that we are seeing, like here in this chart, each dimensions provide a way to distinguish among the studies, like in terms of the questions they're expecting from the users and the purposes they are most suited for. The chart here actually illustrates how the first two dimensions, this attitude behavior and qualitative quantitative, how these two uh, like affect the third one, like the context of use. Another key factor, like apart from those three key factors that we have seen in the previous slide, there is another key factor which is called time dimension. So this is also an important key factor in choosing the research methods or methodologies. uh, we can also call it as the phase of product development, I mean in which stage or phase the product development is. That's why it is called time dimension. And also what is our motto or objective for doing this study. So here in this table you can see breakdown of how different methods fit into each phase. So in the early phase or strategize, like where we are going to strategize the direction or setting the direction, like in this initial phase of product development, the goal, our very goal is to explore the potential directions and also in generating new ideas or innovative ideas. So this phase requires generative methods that will help us identify opportunities, create new concepts, and also decide on a strategic direction. So these generative methods are essential for laying the groundwork and ensuring the development process. Ensuring this process will start with a strong foundation, like a solid foundation of possibilities. So the user research methods that can be employed in this strategized phases: field study, diary studies, interviews, surveys, participatory design, and concept testing. Moving on to the design phase or the formative phase. So once a direction is being setted, so once a direction is selected, the focus will shift to refining and improving the product design. So during this phase, formative methods are used. So these methods provide valuable feedback on design iterations, helping us to enhance the usability and effectiveness through card sorting, tree testing, usability testing, remote testing. It can be moderated or unmoderated. So the aim here is to iterate and improve the design further. So based on real world insights and user feedback. So that is all about design phase. Moving on to the next phase, summative phase, which is launch and assess. So the research goal here is to measure the product performance against itself or its competition. So this in this development, like after reaching a certain level of development, we will be evaluating the performance of the product. So for this purpose we will be using the summative research methods. So in the sense, like they are employed to assess the product against earlier versions or the competitors. So by measuring success and also how impactful it would be for the user. So this phase focuses on evaluating the product's overall effectiveness and also determining its readiness for the market, like readiness for the market launch. That's why it is called launch and assess. So basically in launch and assess phase, like we may use user research methods such as benchmarking, unmoderated UX testing, A and B testing, clickstream analysis, and surveys. So you can see the table provides various research methods which will fit into each of this stage. So this will help us to decide what right approach we can take for each product development phase. So now that we have seen different types of uh, like user research methods and where we can apply which method, so moving on to the actual steps, like what are all involved in the like user research. So firstly, like when you're planning any user research, it will have several key steps. So as you can see here in this flow, so the first step is to define objectives. Like we'll have to start by clearly outlining the goals and objectives of the research. So these are all the main like what is the goal and what you're trying to achieve and what answers you're expecting from the user. So to set the direction for the further user research. So this is the main step, like defining the objective, goal and objective. So the next one is to select the appropriate method, like what user research method are we going to choose for a project. So that is also an important step. So so as to align your objectives and also like what is suited for your user demographics. So what is right for your I mean, what are you looking, what answers are you looking from the users. So by selecting the appropriate method, we can satisfy this. The third key step here is recruiting the participants in the sense like they'll represent the actual users. We may call them as participants or representative users. So identifying and recruiting these users who match our target audience, so we can collect the relevant and accurate data. So this is the third step: defining objective, selecting the methods. Third one is recruiting participants. The fourth step is conducting the actual research. So here we will be executing our chosen methods effectively and ethically, most importantly ethically, to gather reliable data. The fifth step involved in this user research is analyzing and synthesizing data. So in the fourth step, we have collected some of the data or valuable insights from the users. So we will be reviewing and analyzing that data that we have collected earlier to extract meaningful insights. So that can inform our design decisions. And final important step is implementation, the actual implementation. So we will be applying all these gathered insights that we have gained to refine and improve our designs iteratively. So implement, refine, so this cycle goes on, so until we we get the actual product that we are looking for. So we will deep dive into each of these steps in the following slides. So the first step in user research, like clearly defining the objectives, like clearly outlining the research goals and objectives. So we will be starting by defining what we are looking for, like what we actually want to achieve through this research. So this involves specifying key questions that we need answer from the users, like which should be directly aligned with both business goals and also user needs. And we have to remember, like this user needs, uh, we have to include the unmet user needs as well, like the not just the user wants or needs but the unmet user needs. So for example, if your goal is to improve user engagement on a website, you might want to answer questions about how users interact with different sections of the site and what prevents them from going forward, what prevents them from actually complete a desired action. They may quit in between, so why is that? So all these questions we will be analyzing. So the clearly defined objectives will drive our research process, will guide our research process and ensure that the insights that we have gathered are relevant and also actionable. So this is about the first step. The second step in user research is to select appropriate methods based on the set objectives, based on the research objectives which we have set in the last step. So and also most importantly, the user demographics. So the choice of methods here, it can be like user interviews, survey, usability testing. It should all be driven by the nature of data that we are looking for, whether we are looking for qualitative data or quantitative data, and also tailored to the like characteristics of the target audience. So basically what I'm trying to tell is like there is no one size fits for all approach to user research. So, for instance, if you need a detailed feedback on user experience, interviews might be suitable. While surveys are also effective for gathering a broad quantitative data. So, we must try to tailor the methods like user research methods to fit our audience, ensuring that the data that we are collected is relevant and also like useful. So we can tailor, we can mix up multiple user researches. It is not that we have to employ all the research methods or just one user research method. So as per your project needs and your business goal, you can actually employ different methods, like mix up of methods. That is what the second step is, like to select the appropriate method or methods. So coming to the third step, very important step, it is to identify and recruit representative users for the actual study, I mean your research studies. So the this involves multiple steps like defining criteria for selecting the participants whom we are looking for, what are the age group, like from which background, like background in the sense from which department or which role, what kind of people we are going to evaluate, and also based on demographics, their behaviors and other relevant factors to ensure so they actually, I mean they accurately represent your target audience or target user base. So using appropriate recruitment channels like channels in the sense like online platforms or user panels, so to find the participants who fit your criteria, it is essential to ensure that your participants are actually representative of your end users, to capture a comprehensive view. Why? Because like accountants, like if you're asking accountants like about the right working conditions of an emergency room, they are not the right people, like they're not the right people to ask about the working conditions of an emergency room in an hospital. So we have to choose the most appropriate participants. They're actually representing your target group. So the fourth step in user research is to conduct the research. uh, we can schedule and coordinate the research sessions carefully to ensure smooth execution. So the timing of research is also a key. So user research is useless if it is performed too late to influence the direction of the project. So but and also like paying attention to ethical considerations like seeking their informed consent, like obtaining their consent, and also ensuring the data that they're sharing with us, like their data privacy, and build to build the trust and also to protect their rights. So most importantly, we also need to ensure the resources uh, that we require for the study. So let's quickly see some of the key essential resources which are required for both in-person study and also for remote studies. So for in-person study, like we may require a location, like a dedicated space, like a usability lab or a UX lab or a conference room, like where we can conduct the study. So location. The second one is equipment. Like we will have to ensure what kind of equipments are necessary, like computers, tablets, eye tracking devices, cameras for observing the users. So this is about equipment. And the third step, third resource, important resource for an in-person study would be logistics. So managing the participant scheduling and arrangements such as travel, accommodation, like to smoother operations. So this involves some logistics. And the fourth important thing is staffing. Like we should have a team on site who are seated there. It can include facilitators, note takers, and some technical support team, like to assist with the study, or if in case any troubleshooting is required, we need some technical support. And the fifth resources would be materials, like preparation materials such as consent forms or any printed labels or IFUs or anything that is in a printed form, which are a prerequisite for the study to begin. And then some physical incentives, and also some, most importantly, some refreshments for the participants. So these are all the materials that are required as part of resources. And the important one other important one is ethical consideration, like obtaining to seek their consent we may require some printed consent forms. So and also some NDAs that we can get it signed from the participants. So this is about in person studies. Now moving on to remote studies. So remote studies, it can include technology like video conferencing, such as softwares like Zoom, Teams, to facilitate a smoother remote interactions. The second resource for a remote study, it can be tools, like tools for screen recording. So we may record the screen with the obtaining consent from the participant, so we can observe what went wrong or how best they did, and later on. So screen recording, and also some remote controls, like those provided by some specialized softwares like eye tracking devices, such things like to observe user interactions. And the third resource here, it could be like scheduling. So we may have to coordinate across different time zones, such as using scheduling tools to find a mutually convenient time zones. So that's about scheduling. And it can also be like some pre preparations, like technology testing the technology, and the research materials well in advance, like conducting a dry run, like to avoid technical issues later on that may tamper or that may spoil the user research. So for that purpose, we may require some warm up preparations. So and the fifth thing, it can be actual resources like incentives, like any digital incentives, sending a gift card or something like that, and ensuring technical support is always there. Like if any point of time, if they're facing any a problem or issue, they can reach out to the like technical team like online, so who are there to offer any help desk, like to troubleshoot that issue. And also here also, like there is a important consideration which is ethical consideration, like obtaining there we used to obtain the NDA, like signed NDAs in printed paper. Here we can obtain digital consent. Like since the study is remote, we can obtain digital consent from the participants. And most importantly, we have to ensure that the data is encrypted, such as using secure data storage solutions. Yeah, that's all. So this is about the conducting actual study and what are all resources that may be required during the study or for the study. So before we go into the next topic, I would like to take a poll. So here is your question: are you familiar with analyzing and synthesizing user research data? I repeat, are you familiar with analyzing and synthesizing user research data? Let's wait for a couple of seconds. We are still receiving the response. Okay, so I see like most of the participants are not so aware of the this phase, like analyzing and synthesizing user research data. I'll walk you through the this phase of user research in detail. So the fifth step, so analyze and synthesize data. It is the fifth step in user research. So to analyze the findings, so that we have obtained from the user research earlier, that we have conducted earlier, to to analyze these findings and to extract meaningful insights. So now that we have collated and organized both qualitative and quantitative data from our research activities, we will be looking for patterns, trends, and any key insights that are emerging from the data. So basically we will be interpreting these findings in the context of our research objective, like focusing how they can inform and guide design decisions. So this is all about analyzing and synthesizing the data, like synthesizing the data to obtain some meaningful insights. So this analysis will help us later on, like understanding the user behavior, identifying areas for improvements, like how well we can improve the like user interface. So this is all about analyzing and synthesizing the user research data. So the final step in user research is to implement, like keep going, like implementing these insights into design process iteratively. So in some context like this implement phase, it can also be called as iterative design. Like we'll keep designing like until we have achieved the user satisfaction level. To till then, like we will be iterating our design. So it can also be called as implement or iterative design. So, here's how to effectively translate research findings to actionable insights. First, the thing is, we'll have to translate these insights into actionable design improvements. So, there can be a lot of improvement points that we may have observed, or that we may have gathered through interviews at the end of the usability testing from the users. But not everything can be implementable. So, we will have to convert or translate these insights into actionable design points. So we will use the design like insights gained from our research to make concrete design improvements. So this may involve like turning user feedback and data into specific changes in our design. So that is the first step in implementation phase. The second but the most important one is communication. So now that we have identified some insights for the design improvements, so we will effectively communicate these findings to the respective teams, and this is very crucial. So a clear and compelling communication, this will ensure that all the recommendations that we have sought before, that we have obtained before, they are understood, actually understood by the team, and it can be implemented by the team. So without it, even the best research, it can also be got wasted. So remember, communication is the key. So imagine like investing a lot of time and resources into a thorough usability study for a week or so, and only in the last, like, to find out that the results are ignored just because they weren't communicated properly. So that's why communication is the key. So it is as if the study has never happened at all. So resources are wasted, opportunities are wasted, and improvements, like opportunities for the improvements, are lost forever. So communication is most important in the user research process. And the next one is actually getting them implemented, implementing those design like changes, and then testing those changes. Like we will apply these changes based on the insights and test them with users, like through usability testing, and validate their effectiveness. So if there is any point of failure or like usability issue, like we will again refine it, like retest it, get the findings, like research, do the research findings, and then analyze and synthesize data, and again implement it. So it goes on a iteration. So this is about implementation phase. So this step will help us address the ensure that the changes are being addressed. So, and this involves continuous refinement, like continuously validating and refining designs based on the user feedback. So by basically by following this structured user research method, so each phase of user research becomes methodical and also aligned with achieving a deeper understanding of user needs, including unmet needs. So, the most important thing is leading to improved decision outcomes and also user satisfaction. So that these are all the five, like six steps that are involved in user research method. So let's quickly explore how user research is applied to optimize real life products, like here in this example by examining Amazon's product page. So we will look at various key elements and also see how research informs their decision, like design. So the key areas that we have highlighted here is the product image and the carousel, the product title and description, price and discount, and any user reviews and ratings, and the buttons here like add to cart and buy now buttons. So basically, each of these elements are meticulously designed based on user research insights. The insights could be like, for example, they might have conducted usability testing, which helped understand how users interact with these images. What images and what they do with the carousel. Like, are they engaging with the carousel? And how quickly do they make a purchase decision after seeing this? So, are they going through the reviews and ratings? And are they looking at the product pricing? So, all these matters, like all these are all the insights that they have gained, and based on that the product, user interface is being designed. So apart from user testing, like usability testing, uh, behavior analytics like also provide valuable data, like on which buttons are clicked the most. Are they clicking add to cart? Are they immediately going to buy now, like after scrolling through the images? So these are all like user behavior, like how they behave with the user interface. So I hope this example would have given you a basic user research for a real life product. So the key takeaways we can expect from this example is like, this is a practical application of user research that actually shows users shopping journey, like how the design elements like the placement of this button, like add to cart button and buy now button, are influencing the users, like are they quickly going to buy that, or they are going to scroll the reviews. So these are all the key takeaways from a user research process. So this ongoing cycle of research and refinement, it is very essential for enhancing user experience and boosting their conversions. So now that we have seen the steps which are involved in user research, and also a real life, like a real time example, so it's most important like to recognize that this process also involves several challenges and considerations. So it is not just in a go like the research happens. So there are a lot of challenges that we have to consider, and few important items to be noted, like noted in the sense that must be addressed throughout the user research process, starting with limited resources, bias, accessibility, ethics. So, one of the biggest challenges, especially from a corporate standpoint or a corporate perspective, is managing limited human and financial resources. So, user research can require substantial investment. So, and it is also crucial to allocate these resources efficiently to ensure meaningful and actionable insights. So first thing is we have to employ all the resources, like required resources for the user research to happen. And the next challenge is bias. So it is like very crucial to remain vigilant about the potential biases that can happen, biases in data collection, biases in interpretation. So that may actually skew the deviate the research findings, and it can lead to misleading conclusions also, so affecting the overall reliability of the insights that we have gathered. So we must pay caution to the biases, and we have to avoid any biases throughout our user research phase. And the third challenge that we must be considering is accessibility. So we have to ensure that the research methods and the participant recruitment are inclusive, in the sense they actually represent a diverse range of user groups. So this inclusivity ensures that the insights that we have gained, these are applicable to all intended users, and also like no important perspectives are overlooked. So that is about accessibility. And the fourth but most important one is upholding the ethics, like we'll have to consider all the ethical standards throughout the research process. So this is very very essential. So this includes obtaining informed consent from the participants and protecting their confidentiality throughout the research process. So this is about challenges and key considerations. So by following these defined steps and addressing these challenges, user research can effectively inform and enhance the design process. So, this approach will lead to better products, like products that better meet the user needs, and it will provide a comprehensive understanding of user experiences. So to summarize, user research is all about like creating user-centered products, keeping the users in the heart of the design, and services that genuinely address user needs and expectations. So by understanding users' behaviors, preferences, and motivations early on in the design, we can design the solutions that resonate and deliver meaningful value to the users. So integrating user research early and throughout the design process, throughout the design stages, ensures that our products are aligned with user needs and also achieve the best possible outcome. So this is all about the user research. So I hope you like the content that I've delivered, and I was able to give you a brief insight or fundamentals of the user research. So Decos is a strong player in software service and healthcare industry for the last 20 years. We have delivered significant projects for various clients across the globe, like in the field of new product NPD and also legacy devices. We also offer various services in the human factors and UX design, such as consultation, human factors engineering services like user research, UX design, remote usability testing, etc. And also usability regulatory compliance, task analysis, and use related risk analysis, human factors validation plan, protocol creation, and conducting the actual studies. Like we support in remote human factor studies, and also we can support in remediation services. We would be happy to help you with any of your product designs, development, prototyping, optimization, and troubleshooting. We use cutting edge technology and tools for all of our work. Please note a recorded version of this webinar will be available on our website within a week. We will also send you an email with the link on your registered email ID to access this webinar. Thank you so much and have a great day.